Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Pasadena, California. This is Pasadena Business Radio. And now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Pasadena Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today's episode is brought to you by Xavier Inguanzo Realtor, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, California Properties. Today on Pasadena Business Radio, we have Hugo Gonzalez with Equity Smart Home Loans. Welcome.
Hey, Lee. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Well, I am so excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us about Equity. How are you serving folks?
So Equity Smart Home Loans is a brokerage out of South Pasadena, but they have licensing in several states. So I myself am a mortgage broker. So I work with over 200 different lenders that are partnered with Equity Smart Home Loans to find the right loan, the right deal, maybe possibly the only deal that would work in some situations. So my job is to just align lenders with my clients to help them get into their homes or get any kind of home financing.
So what's your backstory? Have you always been involved in the real estate business like this?
Oh, that's a long one. No. So I actually just got into the mortgage business late last year, but it's been going great despite the market not being so great. I actually used to be a content creator, so YouTube and such, and a professional video game player. And then before that, I worked at a Big Four accounting firm at Ernst & Young. So I have a very varied background.
But so you have been kind of involved in finance and numbers part of business.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny because that part of it taught me the technical side of the business. And then the stuff I did in between with the content and working with other content creators, influencers, things like that, it built up the social aspects of this business.
So what was kind of the most difficult transition to go from where you were to what you're doing today?
I'd say, honestly, skill set wise, none really. The difficult part was just getting everything started, getting all my licenses, right? I went through the DRE license, the realtor license here in California, then got my NMLS license. And it just took some time, and you can't really do the job in that time. So you're kind of just prepping for what's to come until that's all done. But otherwise, once I started the job, I loved it, and it all just felt very natural.
Now, are you running this Equity Smart Home Loans office, or is that a bigger company that you work for?
No, so that is a bigger company that I work for. They are the brokerage, and I hang my license under them, but I am completely independent. I generate my own business. I run it the way that I'd like, and they offer their support and guidance, but everything is me.
Was that difficult for you to go as an entrepreneur to now working for somebody, or this had all the infrastructure you needed in order to do what you need to do?
No, I'd say it wasn't difficult at all. In fact, I think it was one of the big draws for me to become a broker because I get to maintain that independence. So they don't really tell me how to run my business. I can choose how to engage clients. I can choose the kind of work I put in, my schedule, where I work from. I get to keep all that independence. It's mostly a place that offers me resources and like the various lenders that I have access to, for example.
So what's the difference between a broker versus, getting a loan directly from somebody? Like, can you explain kind of the difference between the two? Yeah,
I think the two big facets of this business are direct lenders and brokers. So a direct lender will work directly for one specific lender or one specific bank. And they essentially only offer the loan programs that the bank has available. And they go by the rules of that bank in terms of underwriting, whether they accept a loan or not. Whereas with me, I shop it with various different lenders. So I have many options. So if one bank can't do it, I do know of other banks that might be able to do it. So I could take the deal there. On top of that, being a broker it makes you sort of function as an advocate for the client, where you're wholly incentivized to close the deal. Otherwise, you don't get paid. But at a direct lender, you might have some part of it be salary, and then a small portion of it be commission. So it's just the way it's structured. There's just a lot more incentive for me to act on your behalf through the broker channel. And
it gives you more kind of space to be creative. Just because our rules at lender A are such, I can find lender B or C or D or Z.
Right. Correct. Exactly. So I think that's probably been my favorite part of the job, is how creative I can be in making the deal work, just because of all the different options that I have.
Now, when you're working to find your clients, is this something that you need to have kind of relationships with other people in order to kind of serve that client? Because it sounds like, when I started my business, I would go to these networking meetings, and there'd be a real estate person, a mortgage broker, an attorney. They had, I call them the mafia. They had their own little group of people that they were all kind of working together to help each other, because one lead would affect all of them. They all would touch that client.
Yeah. Everything is interconnected, and I would be somebody that would be at some of those networking events. But I also find that clients are everywhere. So sometimes I will go to my favorite bar where they're having a chess night, and I will just hang out with people and play chess there and meet future business partners or potential clients there too. And to your point, everything is connected. So if I do an amazing job and I was referred by a real estate partner, or a financial advisor partner, then that reflects well on them as well. So then, and the reverse is true also, right? Like if something went wrong, then it would reflect poorly on everybody involved. So there's a lot of stakes in every single interaction. So you always got to make sure that you're treating everyone to the best of your ability with the best service you could possibly offer.
And you want to kind of build that trusted advisor network where everybody's an A player, where everybody knows that, hey, I know I'm watching your back, you're watching my back. And that way the customer is going to have a good experience, and there's like no weak links in there.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any room for B or C players. If I basically won't partner up unless I know that you would treat my clients with the utmost care and respect and, dedication to making something work.
Now, when you got into this business, was that one of the hard parts? Is, okay, I got to get the lay of the land. Like, who are the A players here? Who are the people that I should avoid? Like, you have to know that in order to do your job well and to help your clients get the outcome they desire.
Yeah. That was probably one of the more difficult things. It's kind of, you're only going to learn through trial and error in that sense. And sometimes I would work with people where, thankfully it never led to anything disastrous, but possibly at worst just time wasted. But you got to know how they operated. And after some time, you realize, wait, this isn't someone I'd like to work with. So now I know what to look out for the next time. And you get better at it as you go on, and you start to realize who fits exactly the type of person you want to work with.
So now let's talk about, kind of the nuts and bolts of what a day in your life looks like. So a person comes to you, they're ready to buy a house, or they're coming to you, to pre-qualify? Like, what is the, kind of that first interaction you're typically having with a client?
It could be all of the above. So sometimes, let's say they were a referral from a real estate agent partner, then they're ready to go, right? They're looking for a pre-approval. They're ready to start shopping for homes. Sometimes they are just inquisitive, and they saw me post something online, and they just, maybe not even to find out more, they just message me saying, oh, these rates are kind of rough right now, right? And then we just get to talking, and they start revealing their goals of home ownership. And a month or two later, now they're they're ready to get pre-approved. They're asking me if I know any realtors that can help them out. Sometimes everything will change very quickly. I've had people message me saying, yeah, we're about a year to 2 years out. And then we talk, and then they find out, wait, we are a lot closer than we thought we were. And then within a week, they're already shopping for their home. So it varies. They talk to me about anything at any stage, and then we see where we go from there.
So do you have any advice for the person that's looking for a loan? What could they be doing, before having that conversation with you to get ready to maximize their chances of getting the right loan at the right rates?
I think the best thing you can do is, if you have an interest in buying a home or refinancing or taking out a line of credit on your home or doing a fix and flip, anything you want to do with a home, if you have questions regarding that, just reach out to a loan officer, because I think the worst thing a person can do is go to some heavily advertised or sponsored article on Google that doesn't actually speak to your situation. If you speak to someone directly that understands your specific circumstance, you would know best what to do from there, right? I've had people reach out to me thinking that they need to wait a year because they don't have 20% down. And I say, wait, you have the minimum of 3% down already. Your credit is great. You're about to get into another year-long lease at your apartment. Is that really what you want to do? Or are you ready right now? And then they will see that they're ready right now. But they might have just avoided the conversation altogether if they just felt like they weren't ready to talk to me yet.
Right, because they read some blog post that gave them some general rule of thumb that isn't relevant to their specific situation. Exactly.
And that's not to say that the information out there is wrong. It's just, as you said, it's a lot of things that are written out there are rules of thumb. And it doesn't, like, loans are complicated. It doesn't necessarily apply specifically to your scenario. So it's always best just to talk to an expert.
And that's the key thing there. You want to talk to somebody who's done this before, not somebody who's, just read an article. Like somebody who's kind of been in the weeds of this, that can kind of figure out kind of creative ways to solve these problems that a blog post they can't. That's not what blog posts are. They're general information.
They'd have to write an entire story, like multiple pages, to cover every possible scenario, right? It's just not practical.
Now, is there a story you can share maybe that explains this or illustrates this type of complexity, where somebody did come to you with a challenge that they thought maybe was insurmountable, and you were able to be creative to help them get the outcome they desired?
Yeah, sorry about that. My alarm just went off.
But you don't have to name the name or anything like that, but just maybe the general problem and the solution you provided.
Yeah. So I worked with a content creator at one point. So this is somebody who makes videos on YouTube or live streams, games, things like that. And with people like that, they could have a year where they maybe did something viral that took off and they made a lot of money one year. And then the next year, their income just goes back to normal. And that normal income in this particular situation I'm thinking about was totally enough to qualify for a loan on its own. However, some lenders would find issue with the dramatic decrease from one year to the next on the income. And they might consider that income unstable. And so this is what I love about the job. I get to become creative, and I start finding out there's a rule where if you are self-employed in the same line of work for 5 years, you get to, a lender will only require 1 year of tax returns. So the solution was to, get the CPA, write a letter to prove the 5 years. And then all they needed to see was the 1 year. And while there was a decrease, they never had another year to compare to. So just to the lender, all they knew was that my borrower made enough money in this given year to qualify. And it was smooth from there. And he had brought this situation to other loan officers, and they just kept giving pushback about the stability of the income. And I just found a solution, and it was smooth and it worked out.
Yeah, and that having the background you had in that industry probably didn't hurt either.
Yeah, it makes them very comfortable to tell me their situation. And I know how the business works. So when someone tells me they dropped in income, that doesn't mean they're not going to shoot back up the next year.
Right. That's
and
not
so,
a red flag to you. That's just part of the business.
Exactly. So my job is to understand what would be red flags to a lender and navigate that. I'm basically just aligning lender expectations and requirements with borrower circumstances. And my understanding of what they do helps me navigate all that.
And you can cherry pick the right lender for the right situation. You don't have one way to do something. There's lots of ways to do this if you have the right lender, and you have access to more than one.
Exactly. So if there's ever a moment where it's a gray area, right? Like the example I gave, it was per the guidelines and I knew it would work wherever I took it. But sometimes there's a gray area in the guidelines and I can get on the phone, call a representative from the lender, tell them the situation. They could tell me yes, they could tell me no. And now I know who all my yeses are. And then I can choose and I could go from there and I'm not stuck. Whereas, if you go to a direct lender and their specific lender doesn't do it, then that's just the end of it.
Now, do you have a niche? Is there an area that you would feel like, okay, this is my sweet spot, I want to get more clients like this?
To be honest, I would say no, because I have so much fun figuring out every situation that I wouldn't say I have a niche, but where I seem to be falling into is the niche where I need to get creative, right? The income is there, the credit is there, or sometimes not, right? But there needs to be a creative way to pick up the credit. That's where I shine. So if somebody feels like they might not get what they need out of the easy, you find it on Google or you go walk into a bank, if that might not be for you, then talk to me and I can get creative and I could find the right loan and the right circumstance to make it work.
So if they've been kind of having some friction with one of these mega banks, maybe it's worth giving you a call to see if 100%. There's other options that maybe this mega bank isn't. It may not be the right fit for them, but you can possibly find them the right lender.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd also say that sometimes you don't want to find out the hard way either, because everything that a mega bank can do, I could do it too, right? That's not to say that I can't do the straightforward stuff either, right? But sometimes people will go to these larger banks and then find out the hard way in the middle of escrow that it won't work. And it might be too late to fix things at that point. Whereas me, you could call me on the weekend. You could call me at 1 a.m. You could text me at any time and I'm responsive and you're going to know right away where the loan is at and what we need to do to make it work.
Now, if somebody wants to learn more, have a more substantive conversation with you or somebody on your team, what is the website? What is the coordinates to connect?
So the best way to connect with me is to go to equitysmartloans.com. And my contact info is on that website. Otherwise, I don't know if Lee, I don't know if I'm allowed to give my number, but I am somebody who is totally okay with giving that out.
Well,
that is 100% the best way to contact me.
Or can they find you on LinkedIn? Is there ways to find you? Or just go to equitysmartloans.com and look for Hugo Gonzalez, and then
honestly, another fun way. So this is me going back to my content creator roots. I don't mind people messaging me on Instagram. I post loan officer content there. I've had several future clients reach out to me through Instagram. I think it's a great space for loan officers and realtors to share information. So my Instagram is at HUGS86, and I kept it to my content creator days because I don't feel there should be a difference between my personal page and my professional page because I keep it professional throughout no matter what. So
good stuff. Well, Hugo, congratulations on all the success. You're doing important work and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Lee. I appreciate it.
All right. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Pasadena Business Radio.